Title: The Child I Never Knew I Had. For most of my life, I was a self-proclaimed lone wolf. Relationships? Not my thing. I saw them as burdens, emotions that tied you down, pulling you away from freedom. But everything changed the moment I met Emily. Emily wasn't like the others. She wasn't swept off her feet by my charm or my attempts to impress her. Instead, she challenged me in ways I wasn't used to. It wasn't easy to win her over. I had to work for her attention, and that only made me want her more. After months of patience and effort, I finally got my first date with her. It was everything I never knew I needed. Fast forward 2 years, and we were engaged, planning a future together that I never thought I wanted. But then, last weekend, the whole world seemed to flip upside down. It was supposed to be a simple family dinner, but it turned into something far more complicated. Emily had invited her cousin, Olivia, and her family over. We hadn't met before, but Emily spoke about her often. This time, it seemed important for me to be there, to finally meet the family. The second Olivia walked into the room, something felt off. She gave me a strange, almost knowing look that I couldn't place. It wasn't until her little boy came in that I felt my entire body go cold. This kid, about 5 years old, looked exactly like me. His eyes, his smile, even the way he tilted his head when he looked at me. It was like I was staring at a younger version of myself. The memory hit me hard. 6 years ago, I had a wild night with a woman I met at a bar. I didn't think much of it at the time. She was stunning, carefree, and we had an amazing night together. She had insisted on using protection, but I was persistent, telling her I was clean. It was a reckless decision, one that I regretted but never thought would come back to haunt me. But now, standing in front of me, was this boy who looked like a carbon copy of me. I couldn't shake the feeling. It was as if everything that had happened that night was coming back, forcing me to face the consequences. The more I stared at him, the more certain I became. This child was mine. The realization was overwhelming, and I found myself obsessing over it. I kept thinking back to Olivia's face, how she looked at me, how her eyes darted to her son whenever I was around. I was convinced that she knew too. That night, I didn't sleep. I tossed and turned, drowning in guilt, shame, and confusion. I hadn't even been with Emily when this happened, but the possibility that I had a child out there, a child I had no idea about, made me question everything. The next day, I couldn't go to work. I felt paralyzed by the thought of what to do. Should I tell Emily? Should I just ignore it and move on? I couldn't hide it any longer. I had to come clean, even if it meant losing everything. I told Emily everything. The boy, Olivia, the one-night stand, and my suspicions. I broke down in front of her, terrified of the fallout. Emily listened quietly, her expression unreadable, but her grip on my hand tightened as I spoke. When I finished, she took a deep breath. "I'm upset that you didn't tell me sooner, but I understand why you kept it to yourself. We'll figure this out together." That's when she said the thing that both terrified and relieved me. "I'm going to reach out to Olivia. We need to know the truth." The next morning, Emily called Olivia. At first, Olivia didn't pick up, but when she finally did, it was clear she was avoiding the conversation. She asked Emily to let it go, but it didn't take long for Emily to push her. That's when Olivia confirmed my worst fears. She admitted that during a rough patch in her marriage, She and her husband had separated. It was then that she and I had that one-night stand. The result? The child who looked like me. Olivia and her husband reconciled shortly after, and they decided to raise the child as their own. "It's better this way," Olivia said, voice strained. "Please don't try to be a part of his life. It would only cause more pain." It was like a knife to the chest. I respected their decision, but the idea of not being a part of my own child's life was unbearable. The fallout wasn't over. Emily and I fought. It wasn't just about the child. It was about everything. She asked questions about my past, and I answered them all, no matter how painful. There was one fight where she admitted she was angry that I hadn't been truthful earlier, and she even said something that cut deep. Sometimes I wish I had fallen for someone else. Maybe things would have been simpler. I wanted to say so many things in that moment, but I just stood there, taking the words in. The next morning, Emily apologized, and I did too. We were broken, but I believed we could rebuild. Then came a surprising twist, one that almost made me feel like I could start over. I got a job offer, a better one, and it was remote. Emily also had the opportunity to transition to remote work. We started talking about the possibility of moving away, leaving the past behind and starting fresh. So, that's where we are now. We're working through the pain, growing stronger from it, and finding a way to move forward. There's still so much to figure out, but I believe we're headed in the right direction. But here's the thing. What would you have done? Would you have come clean? Or would you have kept the secret to protect your relationship? Do you think Olivia made the right call in keeping her son away from me? Or should I have fought for a relationship with my child? I want to hear your thoughts. Share your opinions in the comments. This situation is way more complicated than I ever imagined.